check. We are recording. Everything looks good. Recording up there. All right, you ready for this, my friend?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna like this one.
You ever get the feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up? You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it. Let's see,
Hey,
we're
twist
on,
around. Now look, here's a
92
house full of
FM
bees.
tonight. It feels like
You think the
nice
honey
cool
badger
little
cares?
bands
It doesn't give a
on.
shit.
Listen, let's get one thing straight.
Price is right.
Guns don't kill people. I do.
Real answer to a question.
To stand up and proudly say, God bless America. God bless the Bill of Rights. And thank God for the amendment. I'm not ashamed to say I'm proud of the
really good.
And I'm proud to put it on camera and on the internet. But I will never talk to police officers under these circumstances. With all due respect, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to
Israel has never had a better friend than President Donald J. Trump.
Turn that noise down, damn it!
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
I think some apologies are in order.
Not having music is a little creepy
Yeah.
with that footage.
For anyone was wondering what they're actually saying behind the music, there you go.
What was that music?
That was Anal Trump.
Oh. It's not bad.
I thought you'd like it.
That crew that we're working next to, super good dudes. And we rarely work with like other companies or whatever. We just happen to be on two jobs next to each other.
Yeah.
Turns out they're big metal guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, you like metal? And I still had to have the same conversation. It's like, what do you like? I'm like, yeah, just metal. He's
Oh,
also
like Whitesnake?
I told them about the Whitesnake story. They were laughing there. But they're like, send me something. I was like, nah. So later that night, I'm like, yeah, I'll send you. I sent Pig Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's a little much for me. He's like, I liked it. He's like, whoa. He's like, that's not metal. I was like, it's grindcore technically, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's all stupid labels.
How many grindcore fans are there in
7.
the world? Is it 7? I wonder if AI has
3 are in South America.
How many grindcore fans exist in the world? According to AI, there is no precise official statistic, so you were wrong with 7. However, based on band listenership, community discussions, and the scale of extreme music scenes, whatever that means, the audience likely numbers in the high hundreds of thousands to low millions.
It's got to be in the millions at least.
If it's in the millions, well, this is worldwide, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be like 0.01% of the world.
Maybe that's
Seems high to me.
Yeah. I wonder if we could find some on the Deagle statistics about that.
You think the two are related?
A cross section of music interests as compared to military.
Venn diagram?
Yes.
The circle, dude.
Or 3.
Yeah. You can have 3.
You can. You can.
You could have 4.
This is very true. I'm guessing you didn't attend the No Kings protest yesterday.
I had to go renew my CCW license, so I couldn't make it. Otherwise, that's probably where it would have been.
I was thinking, what a hilarious story it would have been, because we could have gone down there and sold No Kings N95 masks and probably made so much money.
Oh my God.
And to tell people, like tell our statist loving friends that probably were at the protest, it's like, dude, we cleared like 10 grand. Like, how? I'm at the No Kings. Like, you didn't go to the No Kings. I was like, I did. I was a vendor. We sold masks. And just see the wheels, like the anger. start in the head.
The masks just said no kings on it. They didn't say I'm an idiot or I don't believe in science.
They wanted a no kings mask, and so I provided a service.
Yes.
And they have yet to see the tiny little Liberty Tree icon we put on the inside of the mask.
If they did, they would have freaked out based on my...
Oh, we would have had someone else sell them. We had to hire someone.
Oh, yesterday I was at the gun range, and this dude recognized me, and he said, "You look familiar." He's like, "Do you do stuff on YouTube?" And I was like, "Well, actually, we do." And I was like, "Yes, we've made it! Someone recognized me from YouTube.
I'm famous."
Turns out I just looked like another guy that he knew.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you look like my cousin Ted.
Yep.
Ah,
Yep. I was happy for a minute there. I was pretty stoked. You know, I was thinking about this morning. We watched. Have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
No.
It's about a video game, basically. Takes place in the future. I mean, the timeline actually is like 2026, so it's supposed to be the present. And everybody lives in this universe called the Oasis. Well, they don't live there, but it's a video game called the Oasis. The real world...
It's like a VR thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And people that are like more advanced in the game or have more stuff that you can get from playing the game will have like suits that they wear, like haptic sensory and treadmills that run every direction. You can really like just get wild.
I'm tracking.
I don't want to skip over this and leave holes in the story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just bear with me. It's the real world just sucks, and so people escape into this oasis. Sadly, the moral of the story is not. They try at the end kind of to make it like you should spend time in the real world because that's the only thing that's real. But really, the movie's about spending time in this oasis. That's like, you come away from the movie being like, I wish I could go to the oasis, or at least your son does. You and I would not. In the real world, the kids that are playing this game are being threatened by this company called IOI that is trying to take over the oasis, and they, by putting their video game players like this, like basically indentured servants into the game and having them try to win all the stuff.
Yeah.
And one theme that keeps popping up throughout the scenes in this movie that are the real world scenes are drones flying around tracking everyone.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, I got like so irritated with these drones. And I started to think, if we make it out of this dystopia that we're in or rapidly heading into,
a lot
right
of the Matrix.
Yes. And we come out the other side and the world is a better place. The symbol for how fucked up our world is right now, one of the symbols anyways, it's not the thing.
It's weird. I've thought of one of these this week. Go ahead.
One of the symbols is going to be fucking drones. You're going to look at drones and just go like, I can't believe we had drones flying around.
Yeah.
Delivering pizzas, monitoring the streets, doing whatever they do. Like everything that they do is bad.
One of those like ominous, like hindsight things that you get. You're like,
yeah,
that's when things got bad.
Right.
I was thinking the one that popped in my mind is when we bombed Iran, these mysterious first-time bettors went on Polymarket and made hundreds of millions of dollars. I was like, we're going to bomb Iran. They had insider information. So someone that had like was privy to the information that we're about to bomb another country. I was all the fact that someone could become wealthy on betting on us bombing another country on this specific day. I'm like, that's something I'm going to look back on. I'm like, this is like when things just really went south. Just the complete degradation of a trust society and the culture and everything. It's got everything. It's got the gambling. It's got people becoming wealthy out of nowhere,
out of nothing,
at the behest of killing a bunch of innocent people in another country. I'm like, it's like the ugliest thing that you could think of.
Yeah, you're making money not by creating anything, but by basically stealing it from someone else who didn't have the same information that you did.
Because I had the information we were going to murder a bunch of innocent school children. Like, it's so dark to
Pretty
think about.
sick.
Yes.
Yeah, that's up there with like the Roman gladiator events.
Yeah.
We're just killing for the sake of
entertainment. It's going to be a combination of that, and then like also Yoko Ono was still putting out albums. You're like, dude, it's just like, what kind of hell are you describing right now? So, want to do a recap of? Did you release all of Jamie's interviews?
No,
or conversations with Jamie Obrien?
No. Here, check this out. We'll do this live on the pod here. So, if we use Podsworth Media to clean up the sound, because that first episode, the sound was
pretty bad,
atrocious.
Yeah,
right. It costs us 25 cents per minute, and I think how long was that? Those 3 episodes? No, the 3 together.
Oh, the 3 together.
We really only need to clean up the one, right?
The other one was funky too.
Okay, so let's just say it's going to cost us like fucking $100.
Yeah,
to do. Is it worth it? Okay, I give you the unclean track.
Yeah, no, exactly. So all they did was pump more debt in, and it was again the bailouts never stopped, right?
Here's the clean track.
Yeah, no, exactly. So all they did was pump more debt in, and it was again.
Better.
It is, right?
Yes.
You think it's worth the $50 that it costs?
I don't know. That's like 4 gallons of gas. I could really use that money right now.
I mean, maybe if our listeners, bought a T-shirt now and again, or just sent us money, we could afford it. But at this rate, the rate we're going, this podcast is nothing but cost us money. Go to libertytreelifestyle.com. Get yourself a new T-shirt. Get one for your mom. Mother's Day is coming up. So, yeah, we want to release the 3 Jamie Obrien episodes in one episode so that you can go back and listen to everything that he said over the 3 times we've interviewed him, because the conversation that we had last week was kind of heavily built upon the previous two conversations. And so I did get a few comments that you need to explain that stuff better because it kind of came out of left field. So not everyone that was listening is remembers or was even there when Jamie did.
Well, we could put those out, which I think is a good idea because I listened to him. There's a lot of stuff that I forgot about. Do you remember the rough timeline of when we first talked to him? It was quite a while ago, right?
It was
year and a half, 2 years.
I think it was 2023.
Okay, so over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then again, roughly a year later, I think there was a gap, like a year and a half, something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, let's just say starting in 2023, we have these 3 conversations that were spanned more or less kind of equally.
Yeah.
We can just say. And to go back to listen to the first ones, it was interesting because it just sent me on this. We were talking about a lot of stuff we were talking about, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we didn't really get into the prediction game based off what he was saying. So I figured we can recap kind of our journey with Jamie Obrien, because he has made the mistake of you giving me his phone number. And so I was texting with him yesterday, and I didn't want to bug him. And he sent me a bunch of stuff, and then he goes, basically carte blanche, text me anything you want, which I was stoked because the dude is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing goes back to, if you go back to the first episode, because I think it's still relevant today. But when he presented this to us in 2023, it's stuff I had heard of, but he had kind of connected his dots due to his background in the finance world, working on Wall Street and hedge fund and all that. Mm-hmm. He kind of brought a perspective that we hadn't thought about at that time. And it was one of those things where I went that is really interesting. And it seems kind of possible. And then we look at the conversations and the things that have happened since we had that conversation with him in 2023 up to now. It's I think the guy probably might have nailed it. Because you're holding that. I think in the second episode, I was deep into the Edward Dowd, Josh Sterling, because they were doing the congressional hearings on what they were seeing with COVID and stuff,
right?
The excess mortality rates. And Edward Dowd and Josh Sterling are also they're financial analysts from Wall Street,
right?
So, and it turns out, of course, Jamie knows who Edward Dowd
used to
is.
work for BlackRock.
He might have. Yeah, I think so. He worked for a bunch. He was an analyst for like a bunch of major banks.
Yeah.
He might have worked for BlackRock too, which is interesting to bring up BlackRock because the whole thing with Jamie began when he pitched us the idea of the famous meeting in 2019, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, of Larry Fink,
Going direct.
BlackRock, the going direct meeting. I was trying to explain this to everyone of what going direct means, because if you just say that, people go like, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you take the background of like, or the basic, the hypothesis of why COVID happened with this going direct meeting, and once you have an understanding of what going direct means, like the colors become a little brighter, I guess we could say.
Are you going to explain that, or just
Sure.
leave it vague so no one still knows what you're talking about?
We just got started. Bear with me, I'm sure you just said. So, get the old computer going. So that meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Larry Fink and BlackRock, they had a paper called Dealing with the Next Downturn, From Unconventional Monetary Policy to Unprecedented Policy Coordination. And what's your understanding of what going direct is? Do you have a kind of a grasp on it?
So I can't remember.
So Larry, basically, it's giving. So what Jamie says is we have a financial model here that is not sustainable, right? And he says the only way to fix it is to basically let it kind of crash, like a huge crash, worse than 2008.
Yes.
Instead, these people are, and if you look into Edward Dowd or Catherine Austin Fitts or Jamie O'Brien, they keep coming up with ways to kind of kick the can down the road.
Well, let's unpack that just a little bit.
Gotcha.
So the system that we live under right now is one of a fiat currency where the money is created out of thin air.
Right.
Literally invented on a computer screen or in a ledger.
Yeah, moving numbers around.
Yeah. And it's basically fractional reserve banking is what makes this possible, because if you have $1 in your bank, you're allowed to lend out $9 based on that $1. So if I open a bank,
it gets even worse than that. There's like fractional reserve of fractional reserve. So they keep adding these kind of layers, which are extra loopholes. But yes, as far as the concept.
Well, and then people pay back those $9 that are lent out, and so they can do it all over again. So if I open a bank, you put in $100 in my bank, I can then lend out $900.
Yeah.
So I lend out money to other people. They pay me. They start paying me back. The money that they pay me back, I can then lend that out at 9 times its value also.
Yes.
So the house that you borrowed money for, the money never existed.
No.
Before you borrowed it.
Yes.
When you borrowed it, it was magically put into existence. And now, for some reason, you have to give that money that didn't exist before back to the bank. And if you don't...
Or move numbers from my phone into their numbers.
Right.
So now they have more numbers.
And if you don't do that, then they will take it back. And if you try to do what they did and just make up numbers, then you go to jail.
It's called wire fraud.
It's called counterfeiting or wire fraud.
Or if you just use this same model, this exact model, but you do it as an individual, you go to prison. His name was Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
It's a Ponzi scheme. That's what this is.
It is a Ponzi scheme.
It is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, hold on. So why that matters is that this entire system is based on this fake creation of money, and it causes bubbles. And the bubbles, if they don't burst, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And when they burst, the value of these things, because if you can just make money out of thin air, then everything's price goes up. That's what causes inflation. That is inflation. Inflation is not things costing more. It's the devaluation of the dollar. And every time you print more money, the value goes down.
It's needing more numbers on your phone to buy the same thing that took less numbers the year before.
Right.
It's the cost of things.
So the things shouldn't really cost what they cost. And the only way to correct it is to have a deflationary collapse where everything goes back down in value. Or down in price based on the deflation of the dollar.
When we started this podcast 4 years ago, if you had pitched me like, let's get really deep into economic theory, I'd be like, no, let's do football. Like I could do that. That'd be better. So central banks would move wealth, which not wealth, just money, because it's not wealth. It doesn't exist directly into the hands of consumers in the private sector. That's what going direct was. Is instead they're going around the traditional interest rate route that once the traditional route seemed to be exhausted, which it was, which is like the beginnings of a recession. And so what Larry Fink meant by going direct is like, if we just print the money and give it directly to the private sector and citizens, and then 6 months later we get our first stimulus checks. Like they literally did that. So that's why when Jamie Obrien said that, he goes, here's kind of what I think happened. I was like, that makes perfect. Well, that is what happened. Now, whether or not that's the reason for doing the COVID lockdowns, like they couldn't have given away stimulus checks without the lockdowns, right? People had to stop being able to go to work and things like that. It's like that's when everything kind of aligned for me.
Well, but giving money to people, that's not what going direct is in its entirety.
No, that's part of going
but
direct. That's what Larry Fink meant by going direct.
Because we really wouldn't have a problem with inflation if when they printed the money, they gave it to everyone equally. They just distributed it.
We're gonna get into that.
Everyone. Like if you're playing Monopoly, and all of a sudden every single person that's playing gets an extra $10,000 dropped in their lap, they're all still in the same position that they were before that.
Yeah.
The problem is that money goes to the banker, who then gives it to his banker friends, and in that time, all of the prices go up. You are still stuck with no money, and eventually it works its way down. By the time it gets to you, the prices have all gone up, and you have lost all the value that you had in the money that you already had on your table. So going direct, if they're just printing money and just giving it to everybody, that really wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But that's not what they do, because that's not why they print the money.
No, we saw the largest transfer of wealth in world history during that time, which I think was also one of the main reasons it was the main reason for doing this. The problem being, it's like the layman's term of looking at it is like printing more money to alleviate the effects of printing money. It's like the alcoholic who has the Bloody Mary to make his hangover a little bit worse. Like it's still coming unless you just keep drinking or keep printing money. This is how they're kicking the can down the road.
Right.
The problem is the road is a cul-de-sac, and we've kicked it farther down the cul-de-sac. And as all these people who analyze this stuff saying like it's only a matter of time, like they're going to run out of shit to do. Like you can only do lockdowns or wars or whatever. As Edward Dowd predicted back then, on the second time we talked to Jamie Obrien, he said, expect the clown world to basically get even clownier. He's like, it could be another virus, it could be a war, it could be an alien invasion, something, but it has to accelerate and be, you know what I mean? If they try to roll out just straight COVID-2 electric boogaloo, people will be like, no, like we're not buying this anymore. They got to come up with things that are even more kind of earth-shattering, like every time, which is kind of, even if you look at Catherine Austin Fitz or Jamie O'Brien, they all kind of tend to, this is what I was kind of texting with Jamie about. Now, the reason why I think that the COVID thing worked is you had the mainstream media jump on board and we were force-fed basically fear porn 24/7 about like we were all going to die. This was over a virus with a 99.98% survivability rate, something like that. And for the vast majority of people that were wiping down their groceries and hiding in their house, wearing 2 masks, they're too preoccupied with the narrative of screaming at the guy in the parking lot because he's only wearing 1 mask and Fauci said we're supposed to wear 2 masks. you know what I mean? And you can't take that person and start to talk about like, what going direct means and fiscal expansion and the downstream effects of printing money. They're going to just look at you like, we're all going to die here like any day. Like, what are you explaining to me? But that's why we're in the position that we're in right now, which is why like we keep having Jamie Obrien on and this is what I was texting about yesterday. Now, it kind of makes sense that they would do that because why do we bail out the banks in 2008? What were we told?
They're too big
to fail. If the banks in 2008 were too big to fail, then we can probably assume, well, so is the entire U.S. economy. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I tend to agree with Jamie. I was like, dude, we got to rip the Band-Aid off. All we're doing is that crash is going to be even worse the more you kick that can down the road.
Yes.
And we're like, so let's just do it. I'd rather we do it now and not when my son is my age.
Yeah.
Struggling.
What has to happen is the banks need to fail.
Yes.
We cannot allow them to exist after this crash happens.
Mm-hmm.
They have to fail and they have to be stripped of their authority, and the central bank needs to be eliminated, and we need to go back to a gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that we can get off this merry-go-round. If we just try to scale it back, this exact same thing is going to happen again.
Yes. That and only landed white males can vote.
Thank you.
Oh, someone's going to isolate that. And my wife's going to be like, did you see what's on Instagram? I was kidding.
That person's going to be me.
By that person, do you mean my best friend? Okay, so I started to kind of list out, and maybe you can throw in some too, there were these like external kind of bonuses that also came out of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being that they managed to shore up this Ponzi scheme and stave off an economic collapse for 4 or 5 more years until they think of something else. This gets a little complex. This is from Solari. You can read this if you're really having trouble sleeping. But
Solari is Catherine Austin
Fitt's
website, where she not only talks about central bank digital currency, but actively is acting in the world to try and keep it from happening.
And this goes back to, I'm glad you brought up, like going direct doesn't mean just giving people checks, right? This is what she's referring to here. Is the Federal Reserve structured its 2020 large-scale asset purchases, which forced the mirror image creation of big money, which was designed to drive up high-risk financial assets such as stock market equities. That's what you're saying. That's that large part, at least, of that large transfer of wealth.
Yeah.
But if you go to explain to someone at that point, they're going to look at you and go like, I still get my $600 though, right? Like, yeah. Why are you telling me about this? I'm all because that $600 that someone just gave you is not. You're paying for that in the long run, and it's going to be worth what it was last year. Now it's worth like $430.
You know what though? At least they were giving something to people. Like Trump promised the same thing, but he for some reason can't pull it off. So he's just doing the money printing.
He's busy with the whole Epstein files. Just about to come out.
How much do you guys really need to stop talking about the Epstein files? Like what, $2,000? Is that what it takes? Get a fucking checkbook.
Yeah, I'll do $2,000.
Yeah. Hey, these guys are getting fucking $7,000 per post. I want $7,000.
Yes. Okay, other bonuses. Unprecedented profits paid for by us to all the pharmaceutical companies, which we saw.
Yeah. Windfall.
Through propaganda and mainstream media, this is a big one. We created an environment where the citizens were begging its political leaders for solutions, which is a wet dream if you're a totalitarian regime.
Yep.
And for the people going like, that's why I've been telling you, Trump's. I'm like, no. It's not about who the president is. It's like the blob is the cathedral. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, like this is great. They're begging for some kind of solution to this thing that we kind of made up out of thin air and imprisoned everyone with.
Can you imagine convincing people that you were the solution to their problems?
Yes. I mean, it works. It works with my 13-year-old. But I got like 2 more years left. He's gonna be like,
Yeah, he's a child.
Yes.
Yeah, if it happens in places where the mob controls the streets, where the mafia actually runs like some protection rackets.
Damn shame something happened to your flower shop.
People do become kind of, it's like the devil you know. Like they do become kind of warm to this criminal organization that is, yeah, they're criminals, but there are criminals.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why people have this fealty to the government.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's America.
Yeah.
It's our government.
Right. He's our asshole.
Yep.
Another kind of external bonus, and Jamie kind of alluded to this yesterday while we were texting. He wasn't talking directly about this, but I was kind of thinking this would fit in here, is that we were able to benefit the people, at the top of the blob, all the way from them to the pain in the ass Karen living down the street, is we got a better idea, or a list, if you will, of who could be trusted to be a loyal statist and who was going to be a pain in the ass when we try to do shit like this.
Oh, yeah.
Start a war, do a lockdown, vaccine requirements, stuff like that. This, ironically, has a silver lining, is that it kind of works in the inverse as well. Because I got a feeling of who those people were, which a lot of people I didn't know would have been on that list. And so I kind of subconsciously carry that with me today. So I think, I was like, oh, barbecue, invite some people. Or I'm like, hey, why don't you call fucking Tim? I'm like, no.
I can't think of him without picturing him in a guard uniform in the gulag that I'm going to be locked in.
When he appointed himself hall monitor for 4 years. That's not the kind of people I want to be around. And he kind of learned he doesn't want to be around me. Tim is hypothetical. Everyone, maybe. And I think that list goes all the way down from like YouTube and Google. Kind of, we figured out that they were deplatforming doctors, podcaster, independent journalists, anyone that was going against the narrative. And that goes all the way down to, the hysterical woman down the street who's, trying to rally people on Facebook and next door because, Jim at 321 North Street is having people over for Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I was saying. Like when everyone appointed themselves hall monitor, like all the time. So the second time we talked to Jamie, like I had gotten done with like multiple hours of like Edward Dowd articles and videos. And I thought did you listen to the second episode that we did with him?
No.
Okay. We talked about Edward Dowd. Turns out they know each other. And I thought it was interesting that second time we're talking to Jamie is because I was thick in the Edward Dowd stuff, and they were all kind of, in my mind, saying pretty much the same thing, like in different ways, having slightly different perspectives. But there's actually the newest, I heard an Edward Dowd talk this morning. I think it came out over this last week. He's saying we're going to see somewhere between a 40 and 50% devaluation of everything.
Yeah.
And he broke it up into 3 tranches. Housing bubble. He goes, all housing is 30% at least overinflated with its price. He goes, the AI bubble is starting to burst.
Thank God.
Yeah. Once that bursts. And then something that you have to get like deep into it, but it has something to do with our financial arrangements with China. Because you put these 3 things together, like everything's pretty much going to collapse. There's nothing we can do about it. Which is how I like to spend my Sunday mornings.
I'm still riding high after what Jamie told us last week.
Good.
Feeling pretty optimistic. I mean, it's going to suck. Don't get me wrong. But going to the gym sucks.
That's true.
Getting choked out by a 17-year-old sucks. I did it for 45 minutes the other night.
You got to stay off that bike path, man. Place is dangerous. Now, when also in that second episode, we had talked about that, like when someone presents you information or some kind of hypothesis and you go like, that kind of makes sense. The Jackson Hole meeting, for the first time we talked to Jamie, is we always talk about the pattern recognition, the track record. Like, okay, wait 6 months. Like that kind of turned out to be true. And there's a lot of stuff as we're talking to Jamie those first 2 times, I'm like, that's more or less pretty much true. And so my brain goes like, well, what's that person saying now? So this is like an inverse Sam Harris. It's like people, my brother's way into Sam Harris. I'm like, how could you listen to a guy for 4 years was 180% wrong? That's like, if I listen to this, I'm like, okay, so you got everything wrong for 4 years on COVID. I'm not interested in your thoughts on Israel today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, he is such a clown. I can't believe he has people still listening to him.
Yeah. And that's why I canceled my subscription to the Atlantic.
Did you?
2 years. So around the time that Jamie Obrien, Edward Dowd, Catherine Austin Fitts were saying something similar along the lines that, we've sufficiently kicked this can down the road to give us, 4 or 5 years of kind of breathing room. As Edward Dowd said at that time, he goes, you can expect to see, so through 2025, 2026, is the clown world is going to get even clownier. So if we reflect on 2025, 2026 so far, as far as a prediction, how do you get that?
Yeah, I have more to say about that. it's funny how like everything seems like the most absurd version of itself.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
like it just nothing is normal anymore.
Yeah. There's stuff I see where I'm like, I couldn't write that comedy if I really thought about it. But that's what actually happened.
Yeah, like you go back to the last few elections, and you're just like, you have to like pinch yourself. Like, am I dreaming? Like, is this really happening? Was our president really like so senile that he would just kind of get lost and walk off the stage in the middle of a speech?
Yeah, just freeze up.
And then the solution was to not have the people pick a replacement for him, but to install the worst
Someone even
candidate
worse
that we've ever seen.
Well, dude, it made me think because for whatever reason, politics are people's religion, and everything is whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, and that's where the prism through which you view the entire world, which I think is deranged and unhealthy. And it made me think because Trump did a complete 180.
Yeah.
We were promised no new wars. He's going to bring down the debt. He's going to abolish the IRS.
Uncover
Epstein, everything. He did a complete 180 on everything.
Yeah.
And it made me think that I think he was just kind of installed in there.
Yes.
I think every president is. And
I agree.
because let's just think about what plausibly makes sense, right? We have a guy who's pretty much functionally dead for 4 years, right? And everyone's starting the big squabble of like which direction the country's going to go. It's like what mind with any kind of political acumen would roll out Kamala Harris and say like, I think we got one right here.
A mind that said we need Trump to be in office, so we have to roll out a candidate that's just brain dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, because I wasn't on board at first with the Trump assassination.
Me neither.
And I was like, that did get him elected in a large way.
Let's just break this down.
Okay.
Okay. If the Trump assassination attempt was staged, which we'll get into all of the things that don't make sense, which might lead someone to believe that it was fake afterwards, but just for now, how would it work? So I don't think Trump is trusting this kid on the roof
To shoot his earlobe.
to shoot him in the earlobe as he turns his head.
No.
Okay, so the guy behind him, the firefighter, I'm pretty certain he got shot and died.
Yes.
Okay, that would be. I don't think they faked his death.
Yeah. I love
Because
this.
the whole thing, you can't fake the entire thing very easily.
No.
Like every single person there is an actor. They're all paid. Then they don't talk.
You're right.
You know.
No.
Unless you're doing like a Sandy Hook thing where you're bulldozing their homes afterwards or something like to really cover it up. Like.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was that. I think what happened. Here's how it works. You get Thomas Crook up on the roof, the sloped roof.
You need as few people involved as necessary.
Right.
Because everyone else, I always talk about this with like,
Yes. Because loose lips. Same shit.
yeah, or the CDC. I'm like, do you think, like, you know how many people work for the CDC and they're all in on this thing? I was like, no. This department thinks they're doing this, and then they pass on to this department. And there's like 4 people at the top going like, okay, like we know what we're gonna do. Everyone underneath them thinks that what they're doing is legit.
Yeah.
Same thing with faking an assassination attempt.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens is, and this is the thing that makes it work. I've been thinking about this for a while.
Okay.
You don't tell Trump that this is happening. You just tell Trump something is going to happen someday soon. Just roll with it.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're going to be president.
Yes. And this is the thing that's going to put you over the top and make you look like an absolute hero. Okay, so Thomas Crooks is on the roof. The Secret Service isn't all in on it. They just are given orders, right? So you don't need every single person in on it. Thomas Crooks shoots past.
The woman who dove behind the stage and hid was definitely not in on it.
Right. He shoots past Trump. And I haven't seen a good like angle. I'm sure it's out there, but I just haven't seen it of how far away the Capatrione, whatever the firefighter was from Trump to know if the angle was, you know, how close the bullets were coming to Trump. But you miss Trump intentionally. You shoot people in the crowd. No big deal. people have, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah.
Trump goes down, and one of the Secret Service agents clips his ear with a hole puncher or something, right? Cuts his ear.
Yeah.
And then that person and maybe a couple people around him are in on it. And then Trump comes up, holy shit, and he's bleeding and, fight.
Yeah.
That happens.
Okay.
Right? That is feasible. If you're going to fake it, that's how you have to do it.
But so I'm going to steel man this, which is almost pretty hard when you put it like this, is if I explain that to my statist friends and they go like, that's the most insane thing. Like, okay, here's the other scenario is a guy got onto the one roof that Secret Service wasn't on because it was sloped.
And he knew that because he flew his drone around ahead of time.
Which everyone saw him do.
And you're
climbed up on a ladder with a rifle, shot Trump at the last second. He turned his ear, he nicked it, and Trump hit the ground, jumped up, and gave us the greatest political campaign commercial ever made.
And
that's the other scenario.
And then refused to talk about it afterwards.
And we never heard from the shooter again.
Refused to dig into who Thomas Crooks was.
Even after they professionally scrubbed his entire apartment, even took out all the silverware.
Claimed he had no social media.
Immediately pressure washed the roof that he was on. Okay. They're both pretty stupid, if you ask me. I mean, there might be a third scenario that we're not thinking of. But what you're telling me really happened is just as ridiculous as what I just said.
Yes, which leaves my mind open to that possibility. And the fact that we haven't gotten an investigation into it at all.
Yes.
And Trump, the guy who holds grudges better than any human that's ever lived.
Yeah. If you
doesn't want anything to do with it.
If you do him wrong in a real estate deal, he will ruin your life.
Right.
But if you shoot him in the head, he's like, shit happens.
Yeah, or if
he's the most petty, egotistical person that ever existed.
Right. Doesn't fire anyone in the Secret Service.
Yeah.
I mean, even Dan Bongino was saying that there was something up before he got into position.
Have you? Oh God. Okay, so I don't want to deviate too much, but okay. First of all, have you seen the numbers that people like Dan Bongino and Ben Shapiro are doing compared to what they used to do?
Oh yeah, it's in the
they're
toilet.
just like dying.
Well, that's why I was saying in that one episode that putting Dan Bongino in the podcast world doesn't give him bigger reach.
Well, I thought it would, but two people are like, you're full of shit.
No, yeah, their numbers are plummeting.
Okay, 2025. So we had a couple assassination attempts. They tried to roll out a couple new viruses. Monkeypox being my favorite, or Mpox.
I can't believe it.
If you hear the word monkey and think of black people, like, please get some therapy. Like, this is very
racist.
It is very You at least lose your license to call anything racist ever again. We had the murder of Charlie Kirk. We bombed Iran, kidnapped Maduro. Ukraine and Russia still going strong, still bombing Gaza, bombed Iran again. This time it looks like we're sending in ground troops. And energy and gas prices are going through the roof because we had no idea Iran would have the audacity to close the Straits of Hormuz after we indiscriminately started bombing their schools with a bunch of children inside.
Well, now that you think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in hindsight,
I would almost venture to say I probably would have guessed that before, but I don't know. I live to read. And they just raised the military age requirement to 42. What happens to be the exact age that Ben Shapiro is. So, Ben, now's your chance, buddy. Now's your chance. I know it's Shabbat, but pick up the fucking phone. The recruiter wants to hear from you. Now's your chance to go fight for fucking Israel. Now I realize like how kind of garish it is to refer to the entire world, possibly plunging into a dystopian, authoritarian hellhole, and maybe realizing that maybe the only thing the Deagle statistics got wrong was the year. I was like, but as far as the things that people like Edward Dowd were saying a couple of years ago, it all kind of came true, which is things were going to get even clownier, which I'd love to hear the argument like against them. So you wanted to talk about CBDC, Because I believe that kind of fits into this, but you have an optimistic bent to it.
Yeah, well,
I'm excited to hear.
I wanted to talk about what Jamie said about it the other day, but let me read his. Actually, can we take a quick break?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of y'all. The scene here is very chaotic. Let me turn it down. That's my mama. Yeah, that's my mama. Ain't she crazy? Swear I get it from. If you're ever wondering where I get my craziness from, it's from her. Let me change the beat up. Get it, mama. Hey. Hey. Let me ask you a fucking question. Mama, does carpet match the drapes? Does the carpet match the drapes? I don't know, you tell him. That's a question. You're colorblind? Didn't know that. That's a new one on me. Hey.
I might just fucking do nothing for the rest of the day.
You're an adult. You're allowed to.
Sit out in the sun.
That does sound nice.
I'm just waiting. Fuck, I'm tired. I go like, you know what? Let's get as much done as we possibly can, and then if you feel like fucking off tomorrow, like you won't feel like a douche.
Yeah, license to fuck off.
It's the first Beastie Boys EP.
That's what they were gonna call it.
Major label came in and
no, we have to use the word ill.
That's what the kids are saying.
All right, this is from Jamie's Substack, March 23rd. End of Empire. The parasites are racing. Towards what? Completion of their planned digital prison? I'm sure they'll keep going, tossing hundreds of billions, trillions into building data center infrastructure, including the energy sources and coolant systems required to maintain. But the numbers seem prohibitively absurd, impractical to achieve ahead of the coming deflationary collapse. Having exhausted their 100-plus year debt-based central bank fiat currency control mechanism, and without a viable replacement ready, they know they're about to lose control. They know that each dollar, euro, won, yuan, yen of debt injected into the system to manufacture short-term inflation creates even greater medium and long-term deflationary forces. As BlackRock acknowledged in August 2019, central bankers' decision to bail out banks from 2008's deflationary correction, deleveraging, by manipulating markets higher via new credit creation, while effective in the short term, increased the scale of the eventual deflationary collapse, a scale well beyond monetary policy's power to control. So what he's saying there is that this...
When we talk to... thank you for that. We talk to... Like, we do this podcast, like, we get deep into the stuff, and we talked to Jamie Obrien last weekend. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And as always, or even when it's just you and I riffing, my mind is like spinning. It's like I have to redo another podcast in my head because I'm trying to process all the things. And it's just like, there's such an RPM going of 60 ideas that I was like, okay, I gotta like look into that. I gotta look into that. I gotta look into that. Like, I think these two things are related. Like that other thing you thought like might not be true, but like, let's look, you know what I mean? Just like thinking. And then I always have this lag, like almost like a refractory period after we do the podcast where I'm just kind of thinking about the stuff that we talked about. And I had just this contrast where I had to go to a dinner the night of our last podcast, and my brain is just flying like all day. I'm doing yard work. And my wife made me go to a dinner, and a family member sit down next to me and go, "Are you watching this season's Bachelor?" And so I'm like, I can't wait for deer season. Just like I can't hang in this society anymore.
Yeah. Well, so what Jamie is talking about here is that the central banks have been trying to create this central bank digital currency. That's their goal.
Yes.
And that's what going direct is. It's like a direct relationship between your money and you. And it's not your money. It's the bank's
A direct
token,
relation between
bank's currency
Right.
and your behavior.
Yeah.
And so this is that's what central bank digital currency ultimately is supposed to be. We have digital currency. We all use our ATM cards or whatever, right? And we have central banks. Centralized control of that digital currency is what central bank digital currency is. In order to pull this off, you need a score system, a social credit score, if you will. In order to do that, you have to be able to monitor everything everyone does. And so everyone's heard of the Chinese system, which is a social credit score, right? What most people don't know is that it is not what you assume that it is. Most people assume that it is this thing where, like in the Black Mirror episode, where if you offend someone in line at the coffee shop,
You can't buy gas the next day.
yeah, they're gonna say something about you on their phone, and then it's gonna deduct points from your system. Now, that is ideally what they want in the central bank digital currency, but in China, that's not the case.
Yeah.
All it is really in China, and I watched this long video on it interviewing all these people in China. If you don't pay a parking ticket, or you're late on your rent payment, or anything that you do financially that you get dinged for, that just goes into your credit score. So it's not too dissimilar from the credit scores that we already have, but they just take it down to a little bit finer level. But your behavior in public is not scored in China. So this doesn't exist anywhere in the world yet. And the reason is that in order for it to exist, you need drones following people around everywhere they go. You need cameras in every room. You need data being stored and analyzed. You need AI going through all of your interactions and processing, coming up with this distilled score of what you've done during the day.
Yeah, and for the people that would hear that and go like, that would be insane. That'd be ridiculous. Yeah. Are we screaming in that direction right now?
We are.
Yes.
But the thing that's prohibiting us from getting there all the way is the amount of energy that it would take to do that. I mean, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
That
So
was
when Jamie brought that up, it was like, okay, yeah, that rings true. Like, okay, they're not there, and they probably can't get there without really vast changes.
Yeah.
Now they are trying. Like you said, we are screaming in that direction. Remember that map that I brought up of the United States and all the power infrastructure that is being planned to go in? Like, all of that is for data.
Yeah.
It is not to run your air conditioner. In fact, that you are not going to be allowed to run your air conditioner if this takes place, because they need that power to monitor you.
Yep. Go ahead.
So
you're throwing me a softball right now, and I love it.
So the central bank was originally created out of thin air. It was a cartel, essentially. These wealthy bankers and some select Congress people wanted to create a banking cartel so that they could control the money in America.
Private.
That's the reason that it was created.
Yes.
It was not created to stabilize the economy like they say it was. It was not created to decentralize power from Wall Street, even though they claim that's what it would do, and that's why they have central banks in different states all around the country. I think there's like 9 of them.
Can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
What for what you read from Jamie Obrien? When did he publish that?
March 23rd.
Okay,
after our podcast.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we're all thinking the same thing.
So when the central banks were created, normal local ag banks, for example, that didn't want to be a part of the central bank system, they got shut down.
Yeah.
They basically got manipulated out of being able to compete because they couldn't offer the same low interest rates. And then through these same boom and bust cycles, they were just wiped out, right? If you want to play, you have to be a part of the central bank system. And so the digital part of this comes in where it's like, yes, they have control over the money, but they want control over the individuals. Because just controlling the money isn't enough when you finally run this course so many times that this deflationary collapse is bound to happen. When that happens and wipes out everything, if you don't have control of the people in a communist sort of sense, then you are going to be, the whole system will collapse and you'll lose everything. You'll lose your system. You might not lose everything. You can stay on top. I think that these elites are building bunkers and things because they're taking the money that they have now and they're using it to stay on top. But I'll get to that later. The reason that it works, because they're not creating any wealth with this central bank digital currency, right? Wealth is what you would need in order to build America back up after this thing totally collapses, right? They're not building wealth. They're just building a control grid. A mechanism.
Which is what CBDC is. Catherine Austin Fitts. It's not a currency, it's a control grid. Which it is.
So when everything collapses, the economies are doing terribly, but you are in this central bank control scenario, then if you want stuff, you have to behave properly. And if you don't behave according to their rules and you are poor,
you're not going to be able to live. Then
your poorness, your poverty is your fault. And your neighbors who see you behaving poorly will say, oh, well, that's his fault. Because now we're all in on this thing. We're all doing it together. We have to do what's right for the environment. Don't run your air conditioner during the summer. That's bad for the environment, and you're being a bad citizen, right? So it's a way to control people's behavior, but also their minds. You turn people into the communists who would rat on their neighbors in order to protect themselves.
Yes, and for those of you that think that, I don't think people would turn on each other like that. Just think back, 5 years.
So if you live extremely simply in this new system, you don't eat meat, you don't go anywhere, you don't wash your car, you don't even drive a car.
You share a car, you have a neighborhood car.
Exactly. If you live very simply,
within your district,
i.e. in poverty, then you'll be happy. No one's going to fuck with you. You'll be given these tokens from the government if you live in poverty.
Will you own anything?
No.
But you'll be happy?
Yes.
I feel like I haven't heard that.
Right? So it's the same thing as if we went into a Great Depression, everything collapsed, all the values of everything just plummeted, right? You would have to live simply and you'd be poor. And you might be happy then too, because you are living simply. But either way, we're all going to be poor when this shit hits the bottom. What we don't want is to be controlled. On top of that. Right. So the reason it's not possible, we talked about the energy required is just insane.
That was such a silver lining when Jamie said he's speaking of the pragmatics of actually pulling a mechanism like this off. And he goes, no, it doesn't. The math doesn't math, pretty much.
Right.
And it was I'm like, finally some good news.
Thank God. And the more I look into it, and the more I think about it, I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the tech that would be required.
It's so great because I go into this. I mean, I'm so excited to talk to someone like Jamie Obrien, but mentally, I kind of go into these conversations like, all right, what do you got? It's like, what is it now?
It's usually much more of a downer.
Yeah.
Central bank digital currency is the worst thing that I can think of on earth.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it exists as such an
maybe nuclear war.
Above that, but it exists as such an abstract for some people. It doesn't make sense to them.
I get it too, and it's supposed to not make sense.
Yeah,
right. You're just supposed to do what we tell you.
Yeah,
and be happy. So think of the tech that you would need to run this thing. Okay, you would need AI to analyze all this shit, and AI is a fucking joke right now. There are cool things that AI can do. All right. It's amazing what it can do for my design stuff. I can give AI just an elevation of a bathroom and say, hey, make this into a 3D like beautiful rendering, and it'll do it just based on one image. I mean, I've done some cool stuff with our clothing and whatnot. It's amazing. But these are parlor tricks.
Yeah.
Okay. AI sucks at doing anything that you actually need a person to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we got banned off Instagram for about 12 hours recently because AI thought we were a fake account. That's the reason.
Oh, is that the reason?
Yes. And so I appealed it, and like 2 hours later, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, you're back on."
Yeah.
Like, well, fuck you. Like, thanks for. I mean, I know it was only 12 hours, but what the fuck? So you have some robot, the same robot that targeted a girls' school in Iran to be double tapped.
Yeah.
Right, is doing what? Like that's the
deplatforming social media accounts.
Right, and that's the same tech that's going to be going through all this like CBDC central control grid.
It's going to replace
data.
Doctors in a couple of years.
No, it's a fucking joke, and I don't think anyone's going to be losing their job to AI. By the way,
if you lose your job to AI, your job is worthless anyway. You were not good at your job,
or you might get replaced by AI, but that is not better. It's the same way that when the call center started hiring firms in India to answer calls.
Yeah.
Like it did put people that answered phones in America out of work.
Yeah.
But it replaced them with something that sucked.
Right.
And people in the free market, as free of a market as we have, which is not that free, but somewhat of a free market, people hate dealing with companies where when you call them, you get somebody in India.
Yeah.
Everyone hates that. When you call up Sonic, our local internet company here, someone goes, "Hello, Sonic."
Yep.
You're like, "What?"
Or that's why I use the credit union. I was like, I'm calling someone. They are here in Sonoma County.
They have a local phone number.
Yeah. I can just drive down there and talk to them if I want to.
Exactly.
It's great.
Okay, so yes, AI may replace some jobs, but if you're worried about AI replacing a job that you have that's useful to people, like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That tech just isn't here yet, and I don't think it's going to be, especially with this AI bubble that we're supposedly living in. Like the AI seems like the greatest thing ever. It's because they're just dumping shitloads of free money that gets printed.
Well, they're also
banks.
It's also different AI companies dumping money into each other's companies. They're buying each other's stocks, and that's what Edward Dowd was talking about. It's a wildly inflated bubble because everyone's like, "Dude, the stock market is killing it right now." I was like, no, it's only like this 3% making all this money, and everything's doing really, really bad. Everything else is like crashing.
Pam Bondi
These people are just transferring money back and forth to each other.
Pam Bondi said it's above $50,000 right now.
When asked about the Epstein files.
$50,000? Dollars? What are you even talking about?
1705?
And so
that's great, Pam. We were asking about the Epstein files, though.
I think that the collapse that they staved off in 2019 with COVID, I think that collapse never really was pushed far enough away.
No,
that it rebounded. Right?
Oh no, absolutely.
In 2008, I mean, we haven't recovered from 2008. If we're going back, being honest, they just kicked the can down the road, like you were saying before. But it seems like this recent one in 2019, like they pushed it away, but it's still kind of collapsing.
Yes,
slowly, right? And that's why what you were saying earlier, like everything seems like a fucking joke since COVID.
Clown year, if you will.
Clown half decade, right?
Yes.
Like they have jumped the shark with COVID, and now everywhere you look, everything is so ridiculous. If you really look at what's going on in our world, everything doesn't make sense. It's laughable in some cases. Gavin Newsom ruins California, becomes the best U-Haul salesman that they could ever ask for, still gets reelected or doesn't get recalled.
Yeah.
And is going to run for president after ruining the state. Like that's not a real world, right? That shit doesn't happen in a real world. And I think that what's going on is that all of these powerful elites are mailing it in, and they control everything. Like they have their fingers in everything. The NFL doesn't make as much money as it makes just because people like watching the NFL. There's cheap money out there. The people that own the teams are billionaires. They can throw money around like it's the Roaring 20s in 1928. People throw money around. They buy stock on margin because they figure, well, nothing bad is going to happen. So all this money is everywhere.
Yeah.
And all these things that are successful and seem like wildly popular, they're being propped up by this same froth that's propping up the entire economy. But they all realize that the music's about to stop, and they're just mailing it in everywhere. Everything is just they've kind of given up. They all have senioritis. All of them know that it's going to collapse, but they have been building underground bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
They think that their money is going to be able to set them up to protect them from the rest of us. And they're pretty confident that they can just kind of let this thing ride out. And
Yeah.
It'll be fine. But the truth is they won't, because there's way more of us than them. Like, even if you are in your underground bunker with your guards, like, you can't hold everybody out forever.
Yeah.
Like, they're wrong about that, I think.
Yeah.
I think that we're coming for them. The pitchforks are being sharpened.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think also, I mean, that's the importance of trying to move towards a CBDC, because it's not about the money, it's about the control. And they can't. Eventually, we're getting into French Revolution territory, where people are going to start dragging out elites and beating them to death in their streets. And these people know that.
Yeah.
And that the curtain is just lifting a little bit more and accelerating every day.
Yes.
And they're rolling out all this kind of clown world stuff to kind of keep us infatuated with that. You know what I mean? So people aren't thinking about the economic impacts of giving out stimulus checks to everyone. You know, they're watching mainstream media and, like I said, screaming at the guy in the parking lot because he's not wearing a mask or whatever. And then they need to accelerate this clown world, but they're kind of running. It's true. They have jumped the shark. It's like they've run out of. People have become so fatigued and desensitized. Where it's like, I mean, they literally came out and said like, aliens are real, and everyone went, around.
Yeah. What about those Epstein files?
Yeah. Shut up, Epstein files.
Dude, they stop talking about climate change.
Yeah,
right. They're just kind of like the gig is up. Like we all just need to hunker down and get ready for the end.
Okay,
we're not going to be able to make the CBDC work. Like, let's just fucking give it up. Like,
yeah. You mentioned you were kind of going over what Jamie was saying, that they couldn't. They just simply don't have the energy infrastructure.
Yes.
Now, I think one way to remember, we used to kind of say that COVID was the dry run.
Yes.
Which I believe is true, is they kind of use it as a tabletop exercise, if you will, event 2030, we could call it. And I was starting to look at, because right now in California, how much are we paying for diesel? It's going to hit
over
like
$7.
Yeah, I think it's going to hit like $8 this week.
Jesus.
Like to the point where you're like, I have enough gas to get to work, and that's pretty much
no longer warming my truck up.
I'm pushing it to the job. So I hit Jamie up yesterday. I was like, I think I just had this thought in my head, and I want to kind of bounce it off you and try to think. And I was like, my first question is you related the going direct stuff at Jackson Hole, Wyoming in 2019, and basically that thing, everything they laid out in that meeting happened, 7 months later. 6 months after that meeting, we were locked down. That's March 2020. And he goes, yeah, well, basically, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, you had to create this mechanism where you could get people scared or docile or agreeable enough to like go on with the thing. You know what I mean? But if we were, like I said, if we were talking during COVID about, fiscal expansion and everything in 2020, people are like, that's just not what we're talking about right now. Like, we're talking about this disease that's going to kill like everyone. And so I started looking into energy lockdowns, because we're talking about you don't have enough energy for these new things. Mm-hmm. And boy, did I find some interesting stuff. Yeah. Cool. And I just kind of threw it Jamie's way. I'm like, what do you think of this? He goes, yeah. He thought it was pretty interesting. And he had a lot to say on it, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. So do you know who the IEA is?
No.
It's the International Energy Agency. And they recently published its 10-point plan to reshape behavior in response to the upcoming energy crisis because of the war in Iran, which we had to do because Israel started it. according to Marco Rubio. And the response would have been an imminent threat. But now we didn't do it because of Israel. And if you think that, it's because you hate the Jews. I'm being told by Ben Shapiro, who told us 3 weeks ago there'd be no ground troops. Yes, I'm one of the 12 people still listening to the Ben Shapiro show, but not because I enjoy it. So when the IEA published its plan to reshape behavior, I immediately thought of Larry Fink in 2017 saying, like, you have to force behaviors. Like, you have to force them. You can't just ask people to get along. You got to figure out a way to make them do it. And this 10-point plan came out. Want to take a guess when? Friday.
Wow.
Just came out Friday. And now, even though the IEA, like, their initiatives are globally based, it's based here in the U.S., but their initiatives are like for what the rest of the world can do. And it was created in 1973 for the original oil crisis in Iran. Remember the big famous, it was before we were born, but the big gas shortage and all that. And when they laid this out, is you go like, when you look at it, I'm like, this, I think, is what Larry Fink was saying about forcing behaviors in 2017, which he got a bunch of backlash for, and, you know, nothing happened. Okay, so I'm just going to give you some of the 10-point plan. Okay, the conflict in the Middle East has created the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. The volume of fuel supply offline now is higher than the supply loss during the oil shock of 1973 that led to the IEA's creation, and any disruption since then. The loss of supply is having significant impacts on global markets, pushing up prices for crude oil above $100 a barrel and leading to much higher prices for some refined projects, notably diesel, jet fuel, and liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. Now, here's where you get into the actual 10-point plan. And remember we did a big thing on the WHO's pandemic treaty?
Mm-hmm.
That was just officially adopted May 20th of this year.
Really?
Yes.
Trump adopted the pandemic treaty.
It said formally adopted. I don't know what jurisdiction they have in the U.S. I don't know what the IEA's jurisdiction is. But when we looked at the WHO pandemic treaty, it was all of the same things. It was forced behavior modification.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's quite a bit in here that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the virus. Restrictions on travel or on what people ate, like how much they drove, you know what I mean? Things like that.
What are some of the restrictions in the IAE's plan?
Here we go. And think of the WHO's pandemic treaty or COVID, where you're thinking about this. Demand restraint is one of the emergency response measures that all IEA member countries are required to have ready as a contingency, and that they can use to contribute to an IEA collective action in the event of an emergency like this current disruption. Now, as you get more into this 10-point plan, like, you realize the thing to kind of take away from it is since 1973, they were completely focused on stabilizing prices and increasing supply for energy, right? Is they have now totally pivoted and concentrating on demand, which is forcing, the only way to decrease demand is to what?
Forced behavior.
Forced behavior modification. And as a reminder, the scope of their work is... Yep.
Just gotta hit this button because we have it here. We don't have it.
Damn you, Carlos.
Carlos!
Called in sick. And they explicitly lay out that it's not only IEA members that will be adopting this plan, it's going to be every country, whether you want to or not. But it comes from the U.S.
God, where is the guy that said that he was not going to do all this shit when he was running for president? So I miss that guy.
When you look at this is basically a petroleum-based head box for the entire world. So you go back to the plan. All 10 options can be implemented quickly with savings achieved in a matter of weeks. As in, when are we doing this? Now. Like, we're doing this now, which I'll get to in a second.
It's just, you have to force behaviors.
Found it.
Thank you. So if you get into the details of the plan, the first initiative focuses on work, travel, and movement. And obviously jump in here where this starts to sound familiar. Since the majority of energy by people is being used by going to work or getting their kids to school, they recommend
riding the fucking bus
or just working from
Home?
or learning from
Home?
Yes. So closing down schools.
Yeah.
They suggest making it a 3-day work week and not a 5-day work week. If you can work from home, you should work from home. If you can learn from home, you should learn from home. They get in.
Well, you still have to go to the public school. You just do it over Zoom.
Right.
We know how effective that was.
Yeah. Those were good times. Reducing speed limits by at least.
Dude, what if COVID actually was the thing that people still remember in their heads? So when they try this shit, people just go, no, fuck no. We know what you did during COVID. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
So their dry run with COVID ends up backfiring. People go, fuck off. We're not doing it. I'll wear a mask if that happens. I will put a mask on that says I was wrong.
Next category is private car use. Governments are encouraged to shift drivers towards public transport, which you just brought up, such as buses and trains. Private access to roadways should also be restricted.
That's going to be especially helpful if you live between Bakersfield and Fresno.
Mm-hmm. Merced. They're not
Merced.
Fresno. Yeah, just
okay.
Merced. Yeah. Easy there, 2070. From the plan, alternate private car access to roads in large cities on different days. I'll get that in a second. Limiting cars' access in designated zones, district, if you will, to specific days based on their number plate could reduce traffic congestion, engine idling, and fuel-intensive stop-and-go driving. The way that works, I don't think they did this in 1973. I believe they floated it. They might have done it in some places. Is whether your license starts with an odd or even number, you can only drive on certain days.
I think they do that in Mexico City.
They do that in certain like places with crazy congestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Options like cycling and walking for shorter journeys can lead to further reductions. Car-free days on Sundays in cities, so no one drives at all if you live in a city. Everything's within, your neighborhood.
Your 15 minutes.
Your district, if you will.
City.
Your city is what I meant. Next initiative, freight fuel switching in industry. This one's good because we always say you got to read paragraph 7 because the first part goes like, that all kind of makes sense. Eco driving practices, including regular checks of tire pressure. Everyone should do that. Reduced idling. Now, if you have diesel. Reduction of brakes and accelerating. Always a good idea. Combined with operational movements such as optimization of vehicle loads. None of that sounds terrible. It's just pretty common sense fuel economy. Until you get to the LPG part of this, liquid propane gas. As LPG supply tightens, people and businesses are pushed toward electric or other alternative cooking methods. Non-essentials uses of LPG are expected to give way. So no more cooking with gas. Mm-hmm. That sound familiar at all?
It sounds like what Sonoma County tried to do.
Yeah, Sonoma County, always ahead of the curve. Now, I said, when did they want to do this?
If you cook with something besides gas, like outside, that's a good idea. Like your garbage, old tire.
Old tire.
Yeah.
That old can of diesel that sat too long, it's going to clog up your weed eater. Yeah.
You have a diesel weed eater?
Have you seen the size of that thing?
God.
Got to start up like 40 minutes before I want to use it. Got the little electric
key fob.
Yeah, key fob for a weed eater. So already countries are jumping on board with this.
Sure, the list of the gayest countries in the world.
It is. Pakistan, Philippines, Thailand, Sri Lanka. They've already started shorter work weeks, remote work from home plans, school closures. South Korea has started the vehicle rotation system, which you were talking about. They've already done in Mexico. So as far as would they actually do this? It's already starting.
Yeah.
Just like with COVID, we kind of looked at from here in the U.S. countries that were even worse, Canada and Australia. I was like, it's almost like they're trying out different variations of how you pull this off. Mm-hmm. Sweden just kind of goes
it was the Chinese model that everyone adopted.
Yeah, it started in China. So, and there's every day other countries are jumping on this. And so I wanted to run through this hypothetical because I tend to think that some version of this plan is going to happen, which will be some kind of lockdown, which seems to make sense because, it makes sense on its face, being it's they close the Straits of Hormuz, 20% of our oil comes through there, and that affects the entire world, blah, 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 blah. It also makes sense because it kind of lends credence to what you were bringing with Jamie O'Brien's article of they're going to need so much energy to pull some of this stuff off, and it just like doesn't exist because the world already, we have a finite amount of energy out there. So how about this hypothetical? Okay. Let me know what you think. So this week I'm going to tell my hopelessly devoted statist friends, we might be going into an energy lockdown where they're going to start restricting travel and movement and what you can do. And they're going to say,
oh, that's not going to happen.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Which is what they said when I said, like, it's not going to be 15 days to slow the curve. You realize that, right? My kid just got home from spring break. I'm like, he's not going back to school. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. You're out of your mind. Okay. I think they'll start with like the easy stuff because I don't think they're enforcing it like per se, but they'll begin to manipulate the narrative and the messaging where, as we were talking about earlier, people start enforcing it on each other, which, for those of you that are wildly optimistic about the human condition, just think 5 years ago, like how we're reacting towards each other. We'll start cutting the work week down to 3-4 days a week. Anyone that can work from home will. Anyone that can go do school from home, they will do that. Your propane, things like propane will be for essential use only. So no more filling up your propane tank for your grill or anything like that. They might even find a way. Is the smart meter, does that regulate gas?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if it regulates it, but it monitors it.
It monitors it, yeah. So we could have restrictions on that for if you have a gas stove in your home, which you do. I do. If you have something like a Nest thermostat, one day your AC just won't go below 78. Flying will be for essential purposes only. Travel will become more and more restricted. We'll start to adopt the rotating vehicle standards. This is going back to the first point I made, since everyone is a fucking lunatic these days because they fried their pineal gland with all those fucking COVID boosters. Is like now if you're driving like a big diesel truck, which you do, I do, everyone we work with does, you're already in a bad mood because you just filled up your tank for $350 so you can get to work, and you're going to have some lady in a Subaru flipping you off and holding down her horn, screaming at you, a la having Humvee in 2003 or a Cybertruck last year.
Yeah.
And you're already in a bad mood, and you're going to go like, lady, if you don't fucking calm down right now, I'm going to follow you home and beat the fucking shit out of your husband on your front yard in front of you and all your neighbors. That's the self-enforced, like kind of cultural enforcement, like where we start to kind of, everyone becomes the hall monitor once again. Driving will become essential. Like, you know what I mean? You have to have like some kind of official permission to be going where you're going, which that would be dependent on your job. Like, do you really need to be at your job? Like, can you have done this from home? Do you have to be at your job at all? You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things. And eventually you'll start rationing fuel, which is buying all your fuel with your bank card or whatever, is you can only buy fuel on like certain days and only up to a certain amount. You'll be like, $300 a week or 200 or whatever, right? And so people will start regulating their own behavior. Like I just literally can't go anywhere. Like even if I wanted to, even if I'm like, fuck this, like I'm a pure anarchist, I can do whatever I want. Like, how are you going to get the fuel to do that?
Right.
And that will eventually get into, I don't want to get into in this episode, but I was looking at how much energy affects like fertilizers and farm production.
Yeah.
Is eventually certain foods will become like, that's kind of a luxury, like non-essential food. So certain kinds of food, like beef is just not an efficient way to eat, to truck around, you know what I mean?
Right.
However, bug burgers, if we're making them here in Sonoma County, like,
can grow a cow in my backyard.
Yes. And the next thing you know, we're in an energy lockdown. And I've already had the conversation with my head of like going to these like statist friends and going like, so remember, this is what I was talking about? No, not the COVID thing, the energy lockdown thing. We're not going that far back. And they're probably going to say something along the lines of like the same responses I got about 4 years after COVID. They'll be like, yeah, but I mean, dude, we kind of have to. And dude, don't you think it's kind of a good thing that people are not doing all this driving? You know what I mean? That we've cut our energy consumption. I'm going to be like, good luck with your head box, fuckers.
That's a tough one to escape too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so unnecessary. Like the only reason that that's even possible to conceive of right now is because we started this totally unnecessary war.
Yes.
On the behalf of another country in the Middle East. Like we brought this upon ourselves.
Yes.
We didn't.
No.
Fucking the Trojan horse Trump brought it upon us.
Yep.
It's fucking so infuriating. And you're not just going to be able to, like with COVID, we dodged COVID pretty easily.
Yeah.
Homeschool the kid, you work on a construction site, you work outdoors. You know, you could go to a state that didn't have as severe lockdowns. Maybe that'll be a thing with this. Maybe there's like some states that don't comply, but
I think one of our greatest weapons during COVID was just the general like attitude and ethos of like, you know, you're supposed to stay home. You're like, well, I'm not. So if someone wants to stop me, like,
right.
Good luck. I'm going to work, and I'm going here, and I'm going over to my friend's house, and then I'm going to the gym, and you can fuck off if you don't like it.
Yeah, but if you go to the gas station, then
yeah.
That's
what makes you think. Like we were joking 3-4 years ago about COVID being the dry run. You're like, maybe this, and I kind of pitched that Jamie's way. It's like, yeah, it's kind of he said something along the lines of, which I was already thinking, like just rolling. That's why I compared it to Event 201, just like a tabletop exercise, like. Just see how people kind of respond to this, like what their behavior, who sticks out, who's being a pain in the ass about this, who jumps right in line and does the thing. You know what I mean?
What did Jamie think about the energy lockdown idea?
I'll have to show you the text.